negative attributes. Everyone's got negative things. There's no point dwelling about that. When I used to, ask for any advice, everybody's got good things in them, and we have to look at that than anything else. And he would like music. He used to listen to all 60s songs, Eagles and Beatles and Neil Diamond and things like that. He also loved hymns. He really did love hymns. He used to talk about the days when they used to go to the chapel at CMC Vellore, and people used to play old hymns. And there is. His friends used to tell me when we were young, we didn't have money, we used to go to the nearby cafeteria there and share a plate of food together. Now we are rich, but we can't eat anything anymore. So he used to love to go around to restaurants and have a good time. And during his younger days, he loved his friends. His family didn't like him having too many friends, but he didn't listen to them. He met my mother there. And married and moved to Bangalore, India, where he worked as a teacher in radiography. He was very well loved in that institution too. He used to preach at the chapel for his students in the morning. He used to be a counselor. He used to advise people when they needed any advice, and his students loved him. They really did. They would call me ever so often in the last few months and convey their love. And from there he moved to Oman, Muscat, where there too he was a teacher in radiography. There he would teach radiography, he would teach computers, he would teach English to the Omani children and to the students there. There would very so often be somebody at home where he would teach them, tutor them and things like that, and he was always, he wouldn't say no. He would do it just for doing it. He didn't expect anything, never expected anything in return, never even thought of it in those terms. He just wanted to, pass time, spend some time, and a very generous person. There would often things go missing from our house, and my mother used to fight, where is this, where is that? Give it away, don't worry about it. And he never thought about those things. His father, in many ways, influenced him in that regard. And spiritually too, my father converted to Christianity in Vellore, and he really liked the peace that the religion gave him. He was an active member of the church in Oman. We would go to the Protestant church there, both the English and the Tamil service, and both the services he really loved to go there. He would we remember sitting in the back row, and that was his place. He loved that, to sit in the back, say a quiet word of prayer, and watch the service, and if anything, he would volunteer to help them. He would type out the order of service in Tamil and translate it to English, and things like that. And he never said no to things like that. Should acknowledge that. And we moved to Adelaide, 2005. Before even coming here, he used to say, city of churches. So he loved that about Adelaide. He loved that, he thought this was a very spiritual place closer to God, and he loved to come here and settle down here. And even after coming here, he loved the quietness of the town, city, and made a lot of friends here. And his first family has always been his radiology department, I should say. The last year, a lot of them have been in touch with us, and they have conveyed their love, and it really shows how much of an impact he has had in everyone's lives, and I'm thankful, grateful for all of that. And he was working at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and he really did like his job. He used to walk from our house, Gilly Street, to hospital, bubbly in the morning. You get up at 5 o'clock, cook breakfast, stand in front of my sister's room, go give her breakfast, and then walk to work every day, happy, no problem whatsoever. And he came back and worked as a radiographer here, and he was tired of teaching. He wanted to work. He wanted to get into this, the active part of it. So he really liked it, and he was thankful to God for he always told me, I've lived a comfortable life. I have not been in want or in need of anything. God has been kind to provide me with everything. So there's nothing that I miss, nothing that has been insufficient or anything like that. So we thank God, and spiritual support too. After coming here, we have had so much spiritual support. It really was amazing. It was more than we can ask for. From St. Stephen's, Pastor James has been very kind to us from the beginning. Sunday morning, no matter who's ready or what's going on, he'd be out of the house half an hour before the service starts. He would leave and see if we are ready or not. And he loved it. And after St. Stephen's, when we moved here, he would go to St. Luke's church here. Even here, 8 o'clock service, he really loved it. He said it was very peaceful. And then he discovered the Tamil church. There was a void, because after coming from India, that fellowship with his own people, with Indians, he did miss it, and to speak in his mother tongue, especially when he got old, he wanted to speak in his language and fellowship, and in the Tamil church he was very happy. He loved going to it, and we always grew up like that. We had no denomination per se. We would go to Roman Catholic churches, we'd go to Baptist churches, Lutheran churches. We would go everywhere, because Daddy always said, Jesus, look at his story. He never shunned anybody. He never differentiated anybody. If we can, as a Christian, what does Christian mean? Is to be like Christ. You can never be like Christ, but at least try to, strive to be what he wanted us to be. One of those old school people who was really true what he said. And I have lost, we have lost the most important person in our lives. That vacuum, that void can never be filled. He would do everything for us before asking. You would have thought 3 steps ahead, and you would just do it. And who's going to do that anymore? We thank God. We thank God for His tender mercies. We thank God for His love. The last 1 year, which is an unavoidable topic, I should say, has been troubling. He was diagnosed on Christmas Day, and he worked in radiotherapy, so he understood what the diagnosis meant. So from day one, he was very depressed and almost waiting for the inevitable. We as family, we tried everything we could. We spiritually and also humanly possible. God knows best. I do believe that he is with God at the moment, and I cherish the memories. We, as a family, my mother, my sister, and I, we cherish the memories that he has given us, and we are thankful for all the good times, and we are consoled in knowing that he is with God, and he's in peace. Thank you all.
Thank you, Joseph. Would you please stand to sing the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord's my Shepherd"? Please be seated, and Reverend Malcolm will read the Bible lesson.
A reading from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 5, beginning at the first verse. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of God." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Today is a day that has happened too soon for Naidu's family. Today is a day when we lament that life has been too short for one who has achieved as greatly as this man. Today we still give thanks to God because a human life is not measured in length of years, but in the impact a person has made on others and the world, the relationships made, the legacy left. Naidu's life did all these things, and you are all here gathered together in this church because Naidu touched you by his wonderful life. Today we draw together the things of Naidu's life, the relationships, the legacy and achievements, and we say thank you to God, who is the maker, the redeemer and sustainer of all. I'm here to speak a word of hope in the face of loss, to proclaim that the event of death is but a moment along the way to our place with God, who is our origin and our end. When I was thinking about today, about Naidu and his life, I was drawn to the passages in the Bible about Jesus' teaching. Naidu's dear family, who have loved him so much, spoke about Naidu's vocation as a teacher. I have heard about his career in